Hey guys, I'm Christy and this is the 4th grade worksheet for YLog. So the first worksheet asks us to simplify these fractions, and in order to do that we have to find the greatest common factor. In other words, we have to find the number that both the numerator and the denominator are divisible by. So if we look at the first question, it asks us to simplify 9 over 12. Both 9 and 12 are divisible by 3, which is the greatest common factor. And when you divide both numbers by 3, you get 3 over 4, and 3 over 4 would be your answer to the first problem. The second problem asks us to simplify 5 over 60. Now 5 over 60, you have to find the greatest common factor, which would be 5 in this case. And when you divide both numbers by 5, 5 divided by 5 equals 1, and 60 divided by 5 equals 12. And 1 over 12 would be your simplified form for 5 over 60. Now the third problem asks you to simplify 3 over 6, and as you probably already know, both 3 and 6 are divisible by 3. And when you divide both by 3, you get 1 and 2. So your answer would be 1 over 2. Now onto the second worksheet, we are told to tell the time and write it in the space under the clock. So the first clock that we're shown is the small hand is barely past the 12, which means that it is 12 hours. And for the hour space, or this would be the hour space, this would be the minute space, and this would be the second space. So for the hours, it's 12. And in the minutes place, you look at the thick long hand, and it's facing directly at the 3. Now when you count minutes and seconds, you have to count each big number as 5 because there's 5 tick marks in between each number. So for minutes, it would be 1 is 5, 2 is 10, and 3 would be 15. And since the long hand is facing the 3, there is 15 minutes. And then for the seconds, we look at this thin long hand, and this one is the one that tells the seconds. So like the minutes, we count each number by 5, and by this number 7, we are at 35, and this hand is facing 2 tick marks after the 7. So 35, 36, 37 means that it's 37 seconds. So this would be your answer. Now the second clock shows the shorthand to be a little bit past the 1, which means that it is 1 in the hours section. And the minute hand is pointing 1 tick mark before the 1, which means that that is 4 minutes. And the second hand is facing towards 2 tick marks before the 1, which means 5 minus 2 is 3. So it is currently 1:04 and 3 seconds. Now the third clock shows the shorthand a little bit after the 6, which means that the 6 goes into the hours section, and the minute hand is facing the 1, and since we count in 5s, it is 5 minutes. And the second hand is facing 3 tick marks after the 11. So the 11 would be 55 seconds, 56, 57, 58. So 6:05 and 58 seconds. I should write this bigger. Okay. Now on to the next worksheet. We are told to subtract the amounts of money. So I'm going to do one problem from no regrouping or borrowing and 2 problems from with regrouping. So the problem from no regrouping asks us to subtract $2.35 from $4.57. So when we do this, we work backwards. So we start from the hundredths place. So 7 minus 5 is 2. 5 minus 3 is also 2. And 4 minus 2 is 2. So your answer would be $2.22. Now onto the regroupings with regrouping section. So like before, we work from the right to the left. So 1 minus 7 is not possible. So you would change this to 11 because you take a 10 from here. So this turns into a 6 and that 10 goes to the 1 and the 1 turns into 11. So now you can do 11 minus 7 and 11 minus 7 is 4. Now you go on to the next one, which is 6 minus 2, and that's possible. So you just do 6 minus 2 equals 4. And then the last one is 5 minus 1, and there's no transfer of numbers. So 5 minus 1 would be 4. So $4.44. Now, the second problem for with regrouping asks us to subtract $1.28 from $7.53. So just like before, we transfer the 5, we change it into a 4, and transfer that number to the 3, so the 3 turns into a 13, and 13 minus 8 would be 5, and 4 minus 2 is 2, and 7 minus 1 is 6, so your answer would be $6.25. Okay, now this worksheet is asking us to multiply these fractions. And to multiply these fractions, you just have to multiply like a regular multiplication. So you would just multiply these two and these two. So 5 times 8, you would multiply 5 times 8. And 5 times 8 would be 40. And 11 times 6, which would be 66. And that's your answer. Now the second problem asks us to multiply 2 over 2 times 5 over 6. And like the question before, we're just going to multiply the numerators together and the denominators together. So 5 times 2 would be 10. And 6 times 2 would be 12. And that's your answer. Now the third problem asks you to multiply 5 over 8 and 12 over 12. So in this case, you would do the same thing as before and multiply the 5 with the 12 and the 8 with the 12. And when you multiply 5 times 12, you would get 60. And when you multiply 8 times 12, you would get 96. And that would be your answer, 60 over 96. Okay, now the last page, I think it's asking you to simplify these fractions again. So in order to do that, you would, like before, find the greatest common factor, and in this case, it would be 5, I believe. So 20 divided by 5 is 4, and 25 divided by 5 is 5. So your answer would be 4 over 5. Now the next question is asking you to divide, or asking you to find the simplified form of 30 over 35. And like the question before, both of these numbers are divisible by 5. And 30 divided by 5 equals 6. And 35 divided by 5 is 7. So the answer would be 6 over 7. Now the last problem I will be going over today would be this problem. And it's exactly the same as the past problems. You find the greatest common factor, and in this case it would be 3. And that 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. So your answer would be 3 over 4. And yeah, that's it. Hope you guys understand everything now, or got to check your work, and hope you have a nice day.